mattresses, dinettes, and more are all on sale. Social Furniture has one of the largest selections of in-stock furniture in Middle Tennessee, ready for delivery today. Buy now and pay later, interest-free. No credit needed. Find hot buys in every department. Hurry into Social Furniture today. Social Furniture, 5412 Charlotte Avenue on the west side.
Catch all the NASCAR action this weekend on 102.5 The Game, Nashville's racing station, brought to you by Richmar Florists. Catch the action Friday with the NASCAR Truck Series. Then Saturday, the NASCAR Xfinity Series and the Ally 400 Cup Series Sunday. Richmar Florists, Pennsylvania built, Tennessee strong.
Covering your teams and the news of the day.
Ladies and gentlemen,
this is Caroline, Willy, and D-Mace.
Who is pleasant to listen to.
With Caroline Fenton, Willy Donick, and former NFL wide receiver Derek Mason.
You are hands down my favorite radio personality of all time.
On 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
With no further ado,
Caroline, Willy, D-Mase, 102.5, 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. We are live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Game Studios, and we are streaming live on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook Live every single day. Our video streaming is brought to you by Superbook Sports. Download their app today. Use promo code THEGAME. A little bit of a delayed start here because all of a sudden when you become the suit, you just take up all the air time.
I know.
All of a sudden, Barry Trotz becomes general manager. He just takes. I'm kidding. I am kidding.
No, thank you for understanding. He got caught up this morning, but really wanted to get him on pre-draft because I know next week's going to be crazy.
Next week is going to be crazy, and Chase, good get on getting Barry Trotz, getting his mindset going into the NHL draft in Nashville next week. D-Mase, how we doing?
Hey, I'm doing wonderful. Doing wonderful. It's a beautiful day outside. No more rain, hopefully.
It is a beautiful day.
Yeah.
It is a beautiful
Race
day.
cars don't like rain, and that's where I'm going to be all weekend, so I'm going to need the rain to go away.
Reporter Nick is here as well. How we doing, Nick?
I'm doing well. I was glad to tag along with Chaser this morning. Good stuff from Barry Trotz. And Derek, hopefully the all the bullets out there on the track stay dry, right?
Yes, absolutely. You got to. The bullet. But you know what? The bullet operated well in the rain, you know?
Dramatic effect, right?
Yes.
I feel like the bullet could withstand, crazy conditions.
It didn't matter.
Like you could send the bullet down to see the Titanic, and the bullet probably could have stood the pressure.
I think we drove through a tornado one day.
Where?
Yeah.
Is the bullet your car?
Yeah, the bullet is the car. You ain't heard the story about the bullet?
I have not heard the story about the bullet.
Oh, wow, Chase.
I've worked with you a long time. I'm surprised I haven't heard this story.
I've mentioned the bullet like several times, R.I.P. bullet.
So that was your...
That was my car. That was my college car, man.
Oh,
yeah. Well, really for 2 years, but, sadly, we came out one day in the parking lot. It was the winter of, 97? Yeah, it was the winter of 97. We came out. No, winter of 96. We came out, and my buddy was looking for, because we had two cars, because mom gave him another one. And that one wouldn't start, so he went and looked for the bullet. And I was upstairs asleep. I was in the apartment asleep. He was going to class. He came back upstairs and said, "Mace, did you move the bullet?" It's like, no, I ain't moved. We hadn't drove the bullet in months. So I put on my clothes. Man, we scoured the whole complex.
Somebody stole the bullet.
Somebody stole the bullet, man.
R.I.P. to the bullet.
Did you ever find it?
No, never found the bullet, man. Never found a bullet.
So you said you hadn't driven it in months. Are you sure that it just didn't get towed?
No, it didn't get towed because it was in our apartment complex.
Okay.
And we were going to start it up.
Yeah, okay.
But somebody stole the bullet.
Now, one theory is that Jared Stillman stole it. Remember that?
Yeah, Jared.
What are you, like 8?
It doesn't matter. It's Jared.
Yeah.
It's Jared, yeah.
I'm sure he was loud and obnoxious then, but,
Exactly.
I don't know if he's
Jared
committing
went from
Grand Theft
Nashville
Auto.
to East Lansing just to take Derek's bullet.
We think somebody painted the bullet and still driving it to this day.
That legend has it.
Yeah.
Legend the bullet is still alive today.
That it's been seen in several different places in Okemos.
Now,
Michigan.
Derek, when I think of the bullet, I think of it being like this dark green, white racing stripes. But what does it look like?
It was blue. It was almost like a Lions blue, Detroit Lions blue. And it was a hatchback Ford Escort. And it was a stick shift. And at first, when we first got it, I was the only person that knew how to drive a stick shift. My college roommate didn't. My boy didn't. So I would have to drive him everywhere for the first, I don't know, couple months. And then one day he was like, man, I'm just going to go and figure it out. So he went in the parking lot and he figured it out. That's how I had to figure it out. My brother was like, I wanted to drive my brother's car one day and to go pick up the girl I was dating at the time in high school.
My man.
And he was like, listen, I'm not taking you over there. He threw me, like, seriously, he threw me the keys and was like, go for it. I was like, are you serious? Like, yeah, that's how he learned. So she lived, from my brother at the time, she lived maybe 10 minutes away. It took me almost an hour to get to her house because the car was just jerking. It was just and stop and going. But I finally figured it out. And away I went.
Didn't burn the clutch out either.
Didn't burn the
I wish
clutch out.
everybody could have seen the look that Caroline just gave me with my man comment. that was some side eye right there.
It was a bombastic side eye.
Oh, my goodness.
All right, well, let's get into it because the suit is sticking around with us for a little bit to react to what he heard from Barry Trotz just now. And I want to hear your takeaways, what you thought about where Barry Trotz's head is at going into the NHL draft. But one thing that really, really stood out to me is the fact that he reiterated, and this isn't the first time that we've heard this from Barry Trotz, the fact that he continues to reiterate that the fan base should be patient with the team. Mm-hmm. He said, we're going to take a few steps back to take leaps and bounds forward. He said, there's going to be a little bit of pain. Like, I'm aware of that. Andrew Burnett's aware of that. I want you all to be aware of that. And I think that's the position that this team is in or needs to be in, is it's okay to take a couple steps back, to take steps forward. That's what at least I have been wanting this team to do. As currently constructed, or before it was at the trade deadline, I didn't think that team was going anywhere. So it's okay to take a step back. It's okay for the general manager to set the expectation of, it might not be very pretty for a little bit. I think that we all can understand that. And I think fans can be okay with that. As long as the vision and the plan, what's the plan? As long as the vision and the plan is, this is what we have to do to get better. Yeah. I think we can all get on board with that. And that was refreshing for me to hear.
100%. He even referenced the fan base saying that they wanted the change. I mean, that was, so I mean, he's very well aware of it. What I think is interesting in all of this is that he's setting everybody up for, hey, we might take a few steps back, but he also knows how this league works and that, there could be an unexpected move that takes place, and therefore they're in a better spot than maybe they thought they were going to be in. I mean, there could be a team that calls him and says, hey, I don't want to get rid of this player, but I have to. I don't have the cap room. Can we work something out? He's got 13 draft picks to work with that, I reference as currency. That's exactly what they are. And next thing you know, you're getting a 30 to 40 goal scorer on your team that you didn't expect to have, a day earlier. So while also using those draft picks to plan for the future. So I don't think he's going to do anything, that's going to break the bank or anything like that. But if there is a move that he can make that, might help this team right now, but also for the future, then I think he's going to do it. And so I think he's setting everybody up for whatever might happen. But I could see this being a pretty crazy few weeks just because of the landscape of the league.
Well, yeah, and what I gathered from it, he's not going to be afraid to take chances.
Right.
He even said it, listen, we're not going to play it safe with players. I'm asking my coaches not to play it safe with players. If you see a guy out there that has the talent, that has the potential, but is rough around the edges, then let's go ahead and make that pick or get that guy. And then we'll work around the things that he needs to get better at. But if we see that he has a particular skill that can help our team and the potential to build on that, then let's not play it safe.
Yeah.
We're not in the business to play it safe right now.
Swing.
We're not a team that's in a mode of rebuilding, because this is a team that hasn't torn everything down to the studs. We're still a team that is capable of winning. So we want to add guys that can help us do that. And we may have to take chances on an individual. And I think that's where the be patient comes in.
Yeah.
Because if you're taking chances, that one or two of those guys may not work out. And what do we see typically when that happens? Fan base, oh, that was a bust. Get the guy out of here, yada, yada. But he's telling you right now, these are things that we're going to do. We're not going to be afraid to do because we believe in our coaching staff, the scouts, that we will have more hits than misses.
Yeah, and it's funny, like as a GM, you have to have that mentality. Mm-hmm. You know who wasn't afraid to take chances? John Robinson.
No.
Now, ultimately,
it hurt him.
Yeah. And he's not a GM anymore, but he wasn't afraid. Mm-hmm. And so I feel like Barry Trotz, and maybe a little bit of the coaching aspect comes into play because he knows what he wants to coach. Andrew Brunette is going to be similar to him, a guy that played for him. And so he knows exactly what he's looking for, but he uses that term swing, taking a big swing, and I like that. And there were times that David Poyle wasn't afraid to take big swings. And now I think the same people that kind of chastise him of some of the moves, those were swings. And sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. But I think that you're going to see not only this year, but in the years to come, Barry Trotz, he's not going to be afraid to swing for the fences and make this team better and ultimately get that goal of bringing a cup to Nashville.
Which I love to hear.
Sure.
You don't want to hear your general manager say, we're just a little bit too worried to make some risky decisions, so we're just going to go out. We're going to get who falls in our lap. No. Whenever you have a team that is currently constructed like the Nashville Predators are, where, they don't necessarily need to win right now, when the general manager is telling you, like, hey, we're probably not going to win right now.
Right.
I think that affords you some time and allows you to really evaluate where your team is at to get the right pieces in here to eventually build a cup contending team. The thing with taking swings, I love it. I love to hear it. It's also, you have to understand that with taking swings, yeah, that can mean like a trade that could bring your future center, your first line center for the future of the Nashville Predators. I mean, it could be a Herschel Walker-esque trade that it goes down in the history of hockey as one of the best trades of all time, and you win several cups because of it. But you also could get the other side of that as well.
Sure.
You have to understand that taking swings could also mean missing on a few of those.
Swing and a miss.
Sometimes you swing and a miss. I'm okay with that. As long as I can see the path, as long as I can see the plan, as long as I can see, the thought process behind it, I can be okay with that. It's kind of how I feel about the Titans and DeAndre Hopkins. Like, if the Titans get D-Hop and it doesn't work out, like, yeah, that sucks.
They took a shot.
But they took a shot. They tried it when they needed to, and I can live with that. As long as I can see the thought process and it doesn't work out, I can live with that. I'll be okay with that. They're trying. They are trying. And I think Barry Trotz is being as transparent as possible throughout this process. We're going to try and find the best pieces that we can to make this team the best possible team that it can be. Mm-hmm. Anything is on the table. We'll pick up the phone about anything. We'll entertain any sort of offers. So as long as I can see that those kind of gears turning a little bit, I can live with it. I absolutely can live with it.
And I liked Jared's analogy yesterday or the day before when he said, my house is not for sale, but if somebody calls me and offers me $2 million for my house, I'm moving out yesterday.
Anybody has a price.
Yeah. And so that's the Saros part of this. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't think Saros is for sale. Elliot Friedman said the other day, you weren't making the calls. They were calling you. Mm-hmm. But if somebody calls with the right offer, then – hey, Juice, it's been great, man. We'll miss you.
Yeah, love you dearly.
I mean,
enjoy LA.
It sounds
or wherever.
Yeah, or wherever. I mean, it's tough. That's the business aspect. I mean, Derek, you know it. I mean, but sometimes that's what you got to do, and it hurts to part with it. I mean, I remember when Barry left, when Peter Laviolette took over, they traded Patrick Hornquist, who was a fan favorite, but they got James Neal, and James Neal was that upgrade of a player that they needed to make the turn to the next level, and he was a great player for this team for 3 years. PK Subban, they traded Shea Weber to get PK Subban. That hurt, but it was the right move at the time. I think Barry Trotz is going to be willing to do those things.
And that's why I think it is so valuable hearing from him and him being so transparent and saying, I'm willing to take those swings, I'm willing to take those risks. I think he's got something up his sleeve.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
What do we think that is? We'll get into that coming up next, and, of course, your thoughts as well. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. Caroline, Willy, D-Mase, 102.5-106.3 The Game.
The offseason is in full swing, but there's no slowing down ESPN's Teron Davenport.
The flow of information.
He talks the talk.
Spears gives you that guy that can still hit the home run.
And walks the walk.
As a run blocker, he's going to murder a linebacker at the second level.
On everything Titans. TD is on Mondays at 1, Thursdays at 3, Friday mornings at 8, and anytime on the Talkin' with TD podcast. TD is on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Heard that phrase, less is more? Well, at Harbor Freight, it's more for less. That's why everything in our store is priced affordably. Whatever you do it for less at Harbor Freight. And now when you buy a Hercules 20-volt battery and charger for $119.98, you get to choose a select Hercules 20-volt tool to go with it for free. Yep, more for less. Harbor Freight. Offer and pricing valid in-store and on in-stock items only from now until June 30th. While supplies last, selection varies by location. Cannot be combined with other discounts or promotions. Free tool limited to select items only.
This year, come out for a little outdoor fun at Land Between the Lakes, only an hour and a half northwest of Nashville. They have over 170,000 acres of forest and wetlands on a peninsula in western Kentucky and Tennessee. Hiking, camping, fishing, kayaking, canoeing, outdoor learning, you name it. Land Between the Lakes is where you want to be.
Get up close and personal with wildlife at the Woodlands Nature Station. Take a scenic drive through the elk and bison prairie. Visit the 1850s home place working farm and see what life was like over 170 years ago.
Plan your adventure at landbetweenthelakes.us.
If you're hiring, it can feel like you're trying to find a needle in a haystack. You can hope the right person comes along, or you can just use ZipRecruiter. And now you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. In fact, ZipRecruiter has helped a lot of business owners find their needle in a haystack, like Marco, president of operations at Telly Tires and Auto Centers. Because Telly Tires has grown a lot in the last few years, Marco needed to hire everyone from a receptionist to a store manager to a head mechanic.
ZipRecruiter helps me find all the right people, even the most difficult jobs to fill. ZipRecruiter helps me keep my business running.
Take it from Marco and millions of other businesses who've used ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter can help you find the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/RADIO. ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
In this market, you'll find Fisher Investments is different than other money managers.
Different how? Aren't we all just looking for the hottest stocks?
Nope. We use diversified strategies to position our clients' portfolios for their long-term goals.
You don't just provide cookie-cutter portfolios?
No, we tailor our clients' portfolios to their goals and needs.
But you still sell investments that generate high commissions for you, right?
No, we don't sell commission-based products. We're a fiduciary, the highest standard of care for a financial advisor. It means we're obligated to act in our clients' best interest.
So when do you make more money? Only when your clients make more money?
Yep, we have one transparent management fee structured, so we do better when our clients do better.
Sounds like you really look out for your clients.
We do, because our priority is helping them achieve a comfortable retirement. That might be why most of our clients come from other money managers. Visit FisherInvestments.com to find out why investors like you switch to us. Fisher Investments. Clearly, different money management.
Investments in securities involve the risk of loss.
Your company's hiring. Who isn't? We would love to show you how to use 102.5 The Game to attract and retain employees. We can also help you find the exact person you're looking for with a targeted digital campaign. You can trust our team to help you build your team. Email us at together@cromwellmedia.com.
Hey Nashville, this is David Price. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Building for the future while also building for the now. How tough is it to balance that? But is this also the draft and the landscape in the NHL where you can do that?
Well, I think when people talk about rebuilds, it's usually a team that's had their long run. They don't have a lot of prospects. They're starting from ground zero, and you're trying to build a winner. We're not in that place, like a full rebuild. We're also not probably in that place as just a retool. We're probably somewhere in between. And when I say that is we our Milwaukee team this year went very deep, and some of the key players were basically 4 first-round picks. That the guys like Kemmel and a guy like Evangelista and people like that were and Askarov were really, really high contributors to the run that Milwaukee had. And they've already played a year in the minors, and you saw them come up and play in the National Hockey League. So their development is really, really strong. Now we're going to add, to that group that we feel is starting to, pop, as we say in the business.
That was Barry Trotz on our station earlier today. Caroline, Willy, D-Mase is brought to you by the new Zen Sportsbook with cash rewards and the easiest, simplest betting experience possible. Betting just got better. Download the Zen Sportsbook app today. And Barry Trotz uses all of the words that I think that sometimes we hate to hear. Rebuild, reset, retool, whatever word you really want to use about what this team exactly is doing. I don't think they're rebuilding. I don't think they're tearing everything down. I think, whatever word you want to use, at the essence, this team's number one goal is not winning a cup this year. This team's number one goal is winning a cup in the next couple of years, of developing the young talent that I think we all feel encouraged about, and then going from there. But how do you get from where they are now to where they want to be, which is ultimately a cup contending team? Barry Trotz said it's taken some swings. It's taken some risks, not being afraid to really, step back and hit the home run. What does that mean exactly? Because I don't think Barry Trotz is just saying that just to say that because it sounds fun and it sounds nice. Barry Trotz has a little something up his sleeve.
Well,
what could
he's
that
conspiring?
be exactly?
Well,
Exactly. He's giving us breadcrumbs.
I can tell you what I hope it is. Not giving away sorrows. That's what I hope it is. Shoot.
Derek's
I'm going to stay on that
attachment to
soapbox.
UC Saros is
absolutely.
heartwarming.
I'm going to stay on that soapbox because I see Saros' career sort of like my career. Sort of you work your way up, and then once you get in there, you prove yourself. It's like, okay, I'm one of the best in the league, and then all of a sudden, they want to get rid of your ass. Don't like that. Don't like that. Don't like it one bit.
Is that speaking from experience?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
You're not over anything.
Absolutely.
You've been out of the league. You've been out of the league 12 years.
Yes.
And you're not over it.
There's certain things you just don't get over.
No, I mean,
especially when it's just like things like this just triggers me.
I mean, look, you balled out in Baltimore because you were still pissed off that they had to cut you here.
Exactly, and I'm sure that's what UC Saros would do if indeed they trade him, which I don't think they will. You said he has something up his sleeve. I don't
know if he does.
I think he's optimistic of where this team is. I think he loved what he saw from this team, the fight from this team, the last part of the season, and I believe he understands that, we got something special here, but we have to know how to sort of add to what we have and get these guys to all playing in the same direction. We're going to have to change the way we play. And he even said, listen, we want to be faster. Mm-hmm. We want to be entertaining. We want to score more points, more goals. So he understands what this team can potentially be, and I think he's excited about that. I'm sure if you just asked him how excited are you about this team, he can probably talk for about an hour.
You could ask him a question about anything, and he could talk for an hour.
But I think he's really, I think he's really excited about this team and where they're headed and where they could potentially head. That's why he talks the way he talks about this team. He's excited about the new head coach, the coaching staff, and he just sees. I think he sees something that I think his vision is a lot clearer than what ours is for this team, because we're still trying to figure out, well, where's this team going? What are they going to do? They got all these draft picks, they have these prospects, and I think Barry just look at it so much clearer, and he sees what we possibly don't see in this team. Yeah, absolutely, he should.
I agree with you. I mean, I think too, it's like and I can relate to this a little bit of you guy that was was a head coach, but you're answering to somebody, and you always had, it's like, even though you're coaching the team and he did it his way, he saw how David would build things, and David would build things the way that he wanted to build it. And now Barry can do it his way. And Barry, it's like he can put his stamp on it. And so, like, when I took over as PD, it was like, okay, I liked a lot of the things we were doing. I'm going to add my, my tweaks to it. And that's, that's part of the reason we have Caroline, Willy, and D-Mase. So, so I mean, that's
and we love that.
And we love that, So I think Barry Trotz is viewing it that way. He's taking advice. He's listening to people. He learned from David Poyle, Lou Lamoriello. I mean, and now he gets to put his stamp on things. And I think what is cool is, going back to knowing what the plan is, the fan base is excited about that.
Yeah.
And so the fan base is going to give him – they are going to be patient. I mean, I asked well before it was announced that Barry was coming in, we talked about, hey, if they sell off at the deadline and they tank and they're not very good, are you still going to go to the games? And I think that the answer, you had the day ones, the A1 from day ones that were saying, yeah, we'll still be there. But then I think there were some that probably are like, yeah, probably we won't.
And that's to be expected.
But now I think it's different. Like, I still think you're going to see the big crowds, even though maybe they make the playoffs, maybe they don't. They're excited to see what this is going to look like.
And I think you're always going to have a group of people that either, one, go to the games because it's something fun to do and it's on Broadway, and two, people that really only care if they're good. And that's fine. You're going to have your group of people like that and your certain groups of people in every single fan base. But I think that as long as everybody's on the same page, that's what matters. I think before the trade deadline, it felt like that the fan base was on a completely different page than maybe the management was.
Yeah.
That the fan base was sitting there saying, look, we're okay with being intentionally bad. What we're not okay with doing is being bad when we're trying to be good.
Yeah. And I think something, too, that he did that I know was not easy for him. And, maybe there are ways he could have done it a little differently that he'll learn from as he goes along. But unfortunately, I think he needed to make the move at coach because that was where the fan base was still unsettled. And they had made their mind up.
Yeah.
And so at the end of the day, you got to do what you think is best, but a ticket is a vote on how things work. And so the fans that go to the games, he ultimately made the decision that what's best for this team is for me to change the direction at the head coach to get somebody that I know that I'm gonna mesh with, that kind of speaks my language and knows my style, and he did that. And that was not an easy move for him to make. He's been on the other side of that, but that shows you right there he's willing to make the tough decisions to make this team better.
And I think it was an important line of demarcation of, okay, this is Barry's team now.
Yep.
This is Barry's, and he's the the head sheriff in charge now. Let's get into some of your thoughts on this. Our phone lines are driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. Nick Texan says, do you see a Johansson buyout or a Duchesne trade happening? I don't think they're going to buy Johansson out. I would rather overpay for at least a little bit of production instead of overpaying for no production at all if you buy out Ryan Johansson's contract.
I agree with that. I think I wouldn't do it this year. I'm curious to see, and I've in talking to Barry and hearing some things that he said, I kind of feel like he's curious to see how Johansson bounces back from the injury. If he does kind of have that, he's had time to reflect and he has that fire lit under him. Because we've seen when Johansson's on, he's on. Right. He can be I will, to the day I die, contend if he doesn't get hurt against Anaheim, there's a cup in the city. That, if he's available for that Pittsburgh series, I think they win the Stanley Cup. So that shows you what the impact that he has made. So I kind of want to see what the bounce back looks like for him. For Duchesne, I don't with the salary cap in the spot that it's in, I don't think there's going to be a market for him.
Nobody wants an overpaid player who doesn't produce to the amount that you're paying for.
That's inconsistent.
That's incredibly inconsistent. If you have a potential buyer, go for it. By all means. I just don't know how many people are going to be lining up for an opportunity to get production from Matt Duchesne.
I don't think anybody's, especially, Duchesne is probably a different situation. Johansson, I think he wants to see if Johansson see how he's going to respond after injury. I think he's going to challenge Johansson, and he has challenged him verbally to come back, the best version of himself as possible. And he want to give him a shot to, be in a rotation because they have guys that have proven they can play. So it's just not one of those deals where you're walking in and just automatically Johansson's the guy.
Right. Sure.
No, you have other guys that you got to fight through now. So you got to come in prepared and ready to go. Duchesne on the other end, I mean, what can you do with him?
Yeah.
There's nothing you could, because no one else wants to pick it up.
Right.
So I would rather, see what coach can get out of him, at least this year. And history tells me guys like this, when they have new coaching, if they buy into what's being preached, then you're going to see sort of a resurgence of them, because that new coach is going to give them every opportunity to prove that he belongs on his team. And I think Duchesne, this season, it's not going to be as good as 2 seasons ago.
Sure.
But I think it's going to be close.
Give me 20, 25 goals. You do that, I'm happy. I mean, you're still overpaying him, but I'll take that kind of production.
The bar is on the floor.
Yeah, the thing for me, and you were a consistent player in the NFL, in your career, especially when you were starting, week in and week out. You were very consistent. But I also feel like you were the type of player that you want that balance of that coach that's going to let you have fun and enjoy it, but he'll get into you when he needs to.
Exactly.
And I think Brunette said he wants players to enjoy the game of hockey, wants them to have fun, and treat it as a game. But I also think he's the type of coach of if he needs to get in their ass, he's going to get in their ass.
Absolutely.
And that's what Duchesne and Johansson both need. I think those are those types of players that they want to play their game the way they want to play their game. They want to have fun. But if they need that kind of player or kind of coach that's going to give it to them when they need it, then they'll take it. And so I feel like this marriage with Brunette and those two players in particular actually could work.
Yeah, it could. And as you're talking, I'm thinking about Duchesne or Johansson, and this is no slight to David Poile, because obviously David's resume speaks for itself, and he will be a Hall of Famer. But I think sometimes you can get sort of numb to a voice, or you just don't pay attention to it anymore. It's just like, yeah, whatever. And you just go about your business, especially in situations like this where your money's going to be there regardless. So it's just like, yeah, whatever. Not to say that they were doing that with David Poile. I'm just saying. But now you have someone that's a little bit more aggressive in that seat now. Now you start to think a little bit different. It's not necessarily I'm scared. It's the respect factor. Not to say that they didn't have it for David Poile, but it's different for Trotzy, because he's been there. He's been the coach. He's sat on that bitch. He's won a Stanley Cup. So they possibly could look at him a little bit different, like, oh, I need to come in here and be ready.
And even though we know Barry, and Barry has the skins on the wall, it's still a new perspective.
Exactly.
It's still a fresh mind with fresh ideas coming in and just giving a little bit of a, breath of life.
But it seems like he's not going to take any crap. Like he's not going to take none of that. I'm not taking it. No. Whatever was going on before me, I'm not. This is different. Yeah. I'm not taking that.
But you mentioned the key thing. Barry's got something that they don't.
Exactly.
He's got the cup.
Absolutely.
Chaser, really appreciate you hanging out with us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Always
Thanks for adjusting.
Appreciate you. Always.
Yes.
We're flexible. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. We'll continue to get back into your Predators' thoughts and what Barry Trotz had to say with Chase on Chase and Michelle earlier today. But TD had some words about Malik Willis. And I think that we need to, as a program, establish how we are going to feel about this quarterback situation moving forward with the Tennessee Titans. We'll get into that coming up next. Caroline, Willy, D-Mase, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Nashville Superspeedway, Chase Elliott wins.
The NASCAR Cup Series is ready to invade the Music City June 23rd through 25th. We have you covered for the Ally 400 with driver interviews, reports, and all 3 days of racing. It's presented by Richmar Florist, family owned since 1955. Learn more at richmarflorist.com. We are your racing station. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
The Electronic Express 4th of July sale is here. Celebrate with up to 40% off in every department. Don't miss an LG 75-inch 4K TV for only $699 or an Amana laundry pair for just $399 each. Get huge savings on computers, appliances, 4K TVs, smart home, furniture and mattresses, and more. Get an Asus laptop for only $599 or a Napoleon Freestyle grill for $549. Get up to 3 years free financing throughout the entire store. Electronic Express. We make it happen.
Hey, Tennessee, when you bet on Zen Sports, the new sportsbook in town, you get the best reward possible. Cold, hard cash. You bet with your own money, so why accept anything less from your rewards program? With Zen Sports, you earn cash on your bets, cash on your referrals bets, and a welcome bonus in, you guessed it, cash. So stop settling for Vegas rewards when we're in Tennessee. Cash in your old sportsbook for Zen Sports. Your wallet will thank you later. Zen Sports. Betting just got better. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-889-9789. Terms and conditions apply. Must be 21 and up and in Tennessee to bet.
Are you drowning in credit card debt? Want to get cash out of your home's equity? Loan Pronto can do it now in less than a week. Hey, Willy Donick here. That's right. Loan Pronto's Equity Express line of credit just got even faster. You can get $50,000, $100,000, even $200,000 in as little as 5 days. You don't even have to touch your primary mortgage. You can keep that 3% rate intact. Get just the money you need and pay off all those credit cards or get that home improvement project started. With this revolutionary program, you can access up to 90% of your home's value, and in most cases, there's no appraisal. Stop paying insane interest rates to the credit card companies and get tens or even hundreds of thousands of dollars in cash in as little as 5 days. Call Loan Pronto now for the even faster Equity Express line. 615-499-5780. That's 615-499-5780 or go to loanpronto.com. 615-499-5780. Equal Housing Lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval.
Buffalo Bill's Center of the West in Cody, Wyoming welcomes you as you enter Yellowstone Park's east entrance. 5 museums in one, including the fantastic Whitney Western Art Museum. Welcome to the West. Buffalo Bill's Center of the West, Cody, Wyoming.
Sometimes it's good to be loud.
This is the NFL.
Especially when you're Jared Stillman.
That's where we are.
He's not afraid to say what's on his mind each and every day.
That was embarrassing. I don't care if you're a rookie. That was embarrassing.
Stillman and Company. Weekdays at 2 on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. Having some fun in the midday.
Okay, that's really fun.
This is Caroline, Willy, and D-Mase.
It's a good source of energy because it's live.
On 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
We're looking at the quarterback development going on at OTAs and mandatory minicamp with the Tennessee Titans. A lot of what we've heard is, hey, Malik Willis actually looks pretty good. Will Levis making some mistakes, and we've cautioned people, hey, it's early. There's a lot of growth that needs to be done. When do you think is the fair point in time in the season where we can really start to evaluate these quarterbacks and start to judge these quarterbacks of what they can be, not just for the Titans this season, but moving forward as well?
Well, I do think it's fair, like, for the team to be able to evaluate the player somewhat, like this time of year in the camp. You know, like, does he understand protections? Is he adjusting protections? Is the ball coming out on time in the passing game, whether it's 7-on-7 or team drills or third down situations? So I do think the team can start to get a sense of, yeah, he's getting it, you know, or he's understanding it better. Then I think you need to, get into preseason games and say, all right, well, like, does he revert back to kind of just panicking in a passing situation and relying on trying to escape outside the pocket and run, or does he look comfortable in the passing game? I do think you can see, you get a better sense, in that than you do in practice.
That was Tim Hasselbeck, ESPN NFL analyst, on our show earlier this week. And I think it's a fair question to ask because we've just wrapped up OTA mini camp practices. We're a few weeks away from training camp. And I think that we just wrapped up the time of year of overreaction season. Of you see one clip of Will Levis at rookie camp, and he's in shorts with no pads, with no pass rush, and he completes a really nice pass to Josh Wiley, I believe it was, and everyone is freaking out, taking their pants off for Will Levis. And then you get to OTAs, and Will Levis, he overshoots a target, and now all of a sudden, moving up in the second round for Will Levis was the biggest mistake that Rand Carthon ever could have made. And I think that's kind of the toxicity of it, of just analyzing one clip that you might see on Twitter or a couple of articles that you might read coming out. TD put out an article on ESPN.com. It's a really insightful, really well-written article on ESPN.com about Malik Willis and his development and how Malik Willis has really grinded in the offseason, and you can start to see that come to fruition. The things that he's been working on, the things that he needed to work on, that he needed to improve. His confidence, his command of the huddle, kind of the intangible type of things. And then reading defenses, staying on scheme, not trying to just go off script and do his own thing, but really, going through the plays as constructed. Those are all things that TD kind of breaks down of what he's seen from Malik Willis, what he's heard from coaches and players. Charles London, Chigakonkwo all talked about how Malik Willis just looks like a different player. How Malik Willis said, hey, I'm a year into this. Of course, I'm going to feel a lot more confident, a lot more comfortable with what I'm doing. So I think that we can be encouraged from what we've read about Malik Willis, what we've seen about Malik Willis at this time. But I want to, as a program, I know Willy's not here, but Willy will just have to get on board later.
Yes.
As a program, decide when we think it is fair to really make these evaluations about these quarterbacks.
Well,
Vrabel can do his own evaluation.
Yeah, I mean, we can evaluate. We can sit here and, be optimistic about how OTAs went. We can do that because, if you come back if you come into your second year and say the first time you get together as a team, I don't see any progress as a head coach or position coach or even as a player and another player, I'm worried. I'm truly worried because you've went through a whole season, a partial off season. You have the playbook. You know how this league is, how it operates. You know what you need to do in the off season because in the exit interviews, the coaches have told you. And if you come back and I don't see some improvement, and I'm not talking about, improvement from a physicality standpoint, I expect that to be there. If you are serious about your job, I expect to see the physical. Like, you shouldn't look like the same player you did in year one and year two from a physical standpoint. So put that aside. But from a mental aspect and how you prepare, if I don't see some type of change for the better, I'm worried in OTAs. It could be the smallest thing, but I'm worried if I don't see any of that. Well, we've seen that in Malik Willis, but that still doesn't mean that, he's going to turn into a viable pro, a guy that can, be a backup or that could potentially start one day. That doesn't mean that, but it does mean that he's working, that he looked at his game, he assessed it, he listened constructively to what the coaches had to say, and he went and worked on those things. And it seemed like that's what Malik Willis has done. Yeah. Now, the real telltale sign will come once we get into camp. Yeah. In people, not in the first couple of days of camp. First couple of days of camp, everybody's flying around. Everybody's full of energy. What they say, you know what, you're full of and vinegar. So everybody's running around. It's like, yeah, so.
When does that start to go away?
I don't know.
The camp magic? Because it has to go away at some point.
Oh, it does. But that's what I'm saying. Like, after the first few days, that camp magic is there. Everybody's like, oh, I'm so glad we're here. Let me see how that guy is in week 2 and week 3. Is he getting better? Is he sort of implementing some of those things that we asked him to get better in? Right. Has he gotten better in those things? How does he look as a leader? I'm just talking about from the quarterback position. Yeah. How does he look as a leader? Does he command the huddle? How is he communicating the plays to the huddle? Is it seamless? Is it just, you give me the play, boom, boom, and am I hesitating a lot on my, hey, can you repeat that again?
Can't keep up.
Exactly. You can't keep up. If I see that he can, then okay, we got something here. And then you make your second phase of evaluation, game time or practice time with other teams. Because to me, you can get a sense of how a guy sort of is going to be against your own players. But after a while, you practice against them long enough, it's just like some days are going to be good, some days aren't, because you get to know one another. It is what it is. But when you have another team that comes in, how do you compete against that other team? Are you raising your level of